Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. I've got a baby crying in the background here. Today's Monday, March 31st, 2025, and I'm going to hand this phone over to Michael and take care of Mr. Lincoln.
Welcome, everybody. Delighted that you're here. And Lincoln arrived here about 8:30 in the morning, and that's the first sound we've heard from him. So I'm not sure what's going on for him, but we're delighted that you're here. Our son Ryan is doing so well that he's back to work today after all he's been through in the last 3 months. I think his medical bills were just over $2 million, which is amazing. Thank God he had good insurance. And so he's doing well. And as of this week, we get our babies back. You know, if you remember the last few weeks, the last 3 months, Jeannie's been going over, I've been going over and being with Ryan and the babies over at their house because he wasn't really able to travel after his surgery, So he's now here and all is well, rock and roll. So delighted that you're with us and looking forward to seeing what unfolds next in our outline for today's show. Give me 1 second. I actually had a phone failure this morning, and I'm just reorganizing telephones. I have to use 2 phones to do the show, so it gets just a little bit complicated, but we're rock and roll. So it is, let's see, the end of May, and I see the light of the world is saying, I can't believe how much people hate the Jews and scapegoat them rather than being responsible for how they brought their own stuff to themselves. Well, I'll just offer light of the world that hate, of course, nobody's ever hated a Jew, a Christian, a Muslim, a white, a black, a red. Nobody's ever hated anybody, but we have lots of people with hate in them. And if they have hate, they can project at anybody, anybody or anything they have a goal for. They can, of course, project their hatred. And it's if one is actually doing their work, if one is actually moving in the direction of healing, then they'll see that anyone in hatred is someone who is ready to heal on the next level. So we hold a space for that, and that it's time for our planet to give up this hostility. It's interesting how people will look at somebody that they project their own hostility on and say, look what you've done. Well, they're doing the same thing themselves. How did that go? Beware you who judge another, or that which you judge another, you've been guilty of practicing. And so we have lots of people out there pulling that game, and we're here to offer tools, to offer support. Let's bring this healing process together. Let's really move forward in the possibilities of bringing truth and healing to our culture, to our world. And so delighted everybody's here. Welcome. And Kerry's saying, I'd like to talk about ways to help people heal. Let's go for it, Kerry. That's what we're here to do. So please push the button. Hey, and Dawn has just pushed the button. So let's say hello to Dawn. And Kerry's on there too. So let's say a quick hello to Dawn and see what he's got to say. You there, Dawn? I'm here, you, Dawn. Go for it. What's on your mind? Hello, Dawn. All I heard, Dawn, was an and you disappeared. So
can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. I've got you. Sure.
All right. Actually, this is just quick. You can go to Kerry because I had just called in to Dr. Tim and I was trying to use a wired headphone set into my phone and I was unsure, given that Needle is not a phone call based communication, if I could use the speakerphone on my phone to call in through Needle, and that's what I'm doing right now. So this has answered my question, so now I know how to do it better. So
it works.
Great.
Cool. All right. Any other thoughts for you today?
No, I kind of exhausted myself last hour.
Okay. Well, holding the space then. And
Okay.
if exhaustion's up, sounds like healing crisis. Remember, one of the symptoms of healing is low energy. When my system's going in and starting to grind through and undo some stuff. So holding the
Yeah.
space for the next layer and moving forward.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Michael.
All right, blessings. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Lots of love.
Bye.
And Miss Carrie, how are you, young lady?
Oh, hi, Michael. Hi. Hope you're doing well.
I'm rocking, doing very well. Nice to be home. Had an awesome time with my new grandson, my namesake, who's now, I think this is his 28th day around the sun. So it was a pretty sweet time with my son. And it's nice to be home and have Lincoln here too. So we are up to our neck in babies, and that has changed our lives with the newborn coming into our world. So, but pretty sweet,
Oh,
pretty sweet.
that's so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. That really is a gift, to be able to have an impact on these little souls as they're coming into the world, into this chaos that we have created. And um, what I've seen too of your grandchildren is that they're going to be beautiful light workers.
I think they're on the path. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Ari is just amazing. The stuff she comes up with, and anybody. We have somebody come to visit, and they hurt themselves. They bang there, and she's right there, and she's got her little medical kit, and she's going to take care of them, and
Hmm.
and the animals. She's got all kinds of animals, and one of the games she loves to play is she takes all of her stuffed animals and hides them all around the house, and then they're missing. So she goes out and rescues them, brings them back,
Oh,
treats them, and puts them in her healing center. So it may
oh
be a
my
vet
God.
that she does, but it's definitely going to be in the arena of healing. So
So there was a movie that just won an Oscar. It's called Flow, and
flow, okay.
it's an animated movie. It has no dialogue, and it's for everybody.
Hmm,
And it's about a group of animals that are threatened by this huge flood. There's no people in this movie for some reason. They've all disappeared.
hmm.
And these animals band together to save themselves. It was a lovely movie, beautifully animated, and I think she'd love that movie, and so would you.
Oh, cool. We'll look
Yeah,
for it for sure. Hadn't
yeah.
heard of it.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
Sounds like they're a little smarter than humans working together. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well,
How cool would that be?
they've got their issues, and they overcome them, and it's very interesting. So, um, speaking of little Arya going around and rescuing and healing, uh, I I had this teacher of mine because I have worked most of my life. I did social work early on, and then I've
Right.
worked most of my life in ecosystem restoration. And she and I always saw it as helping the earth to heal, healing the earth. And she said to me, "No, the earth doesn't. The earth can heal itself." And so that put me in a funk for a few days, feeling like, oh gosh, maybe my whole career has been a waste. Uh, oh, poor me. And then I thought, well, I'm a facilitator for self healing. That's what I was doing. I was just thinking about it in a little weird way. And then, so I've been doing all this work for years, not just with the earth, but on healing myself, as you know, and
Right.
working with your tools. And we had a conversation last week about my codependency with the patriarchy. And so I I had this realization since then doing my meditation that um, I need to step out of hiding in terms of assisting other people to do their healing. And
Mm.
part of that was that I had had a couple conversations with you to have a partner with me, a healing partner, where we could work together. And there have been other things that I've been putting out there, feelers out there to do, and I've been met with crickets. And so I've been thinking, okay, that's probably not the way for me to be going, because there's been no response to those efforts. So I've been kind of meditating on what it is that I need to do. So it was really interesting. I took a step. I'm visiting my son in Portland, Oregon,
All right.
and I said to him, "Hey, do you have any friends who would maybe like to come over on Saturday night, and they could bring some appetizers and we could hang out, and then I could teach them some meditations to assist them with their healing and work with them." And I felt very shy about doing that, but it went really well, and they were loving it and so appreciative. And
Awesome.
and I have also sat down with other people to help me do worksheets, and they're not interested in the worksheets. They're interested in the healing, but somehow the worksheets are not speaking to them. And um, you said something last week on the show about goals, and I I that really resonated with me. There's parts of the worksheet, the part at the very end of the worksheet is something that I still struggle with, particularly if it's not a person, or if that person is not around, or uh, about working together with them. And I thought,
Right.
how can I how can I kind of integrate that into some healing work? And it's not necessarily that I want to be a professional getting paid for this work. Um, but I also recognize that on one level, people don't value things unless they can, put some money towards it. Or
Right.
what about a system of barter, you know, uh, where they give something in return? And it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but I'm looking for a way to, I'm releasing stuff about putting myself out there,
Right.
but I'm actually looking for a way or some guidance to think about a way that I can work with people. And I think very small groups or one-on-one is going to be the best for me. But also finding my tribe and having a group of people that can support me in the work that I do. So that's where I am, looking for this kind of way forward for me, because I've retired now, and I feel like from my career, and I feel like this is my work now, is to be this light worker who is working with people. And I've been drawn to and looked at other people's methods and things, and every time I do that, I look and I go, oh, that is so great. That's so interesting. And I'm always coming back to your work. And it's like I look at other people's work, and I'm constantly comparing it to your tools, to your work. And it's like, oh, that, Michael does that. That's all. But part of that is that the truth, no matter where it is, whether it's through A Course in Miracles that I've been working with for 20 years, whether it's through other healing light workers that are doing their thing, I'm like, the truth is the truth. And it's there, and it's in all of your work. However, I do find that a lot of the language that you use in your tools and in your work, people don't resonate with. And so what I have found myself doing is doing this work, but not using in particular your language.
Right?
Um,
That's
um,
great.
do you understand what I mean?
I hear
There's,
you.
yeah. And because I know when I first started doing your work, I struggled with your language, and I had to really uh, stay with it and work with it.
Got to
Uh,
build the brain cells.
right, right.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, maybe. So haven't been using your language in particular, but I'm wondering if maybe that's part of the issue, is that people don't resonate with your worksheets because they don't have the brain cells to do it. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. It's just that I'm looking for a way. I don't know if it's language. I don't know how it is. Maybe other people have ideas to uh, about using your work. But I know that when we did the laws of living and I did the homework, and I
Right.
was religious in doing my homework every day afterwards for, I don't know, was it a month or something? I can't remember. And I just loved that. I loved um, the discipline of it. I loved the practice of it. And um, I'm wondering, and we had a group of people. I don't know, you remember Grady and all the different people that were supporting each other. Is there a way for us to recreate a support group here so that we can be going out and maybe not teaching this, but facilitating other people to do their healing uh, with your work? Because as I've branched out and looked at, as I said, all these other people healing, it's always brought me back to your work, Michael. So, um, I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Maybe some of your
Well, you
listeners do.
just opened a whole raft of thoughts for me. Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. One of the first things I'd offer, and Susan is on if maybe she wanted to push the button and share a little bit, but Susan Bingham, she came into the intensive at Heartland, and she's been doing the work. She's been on the radio show. Actually, she's been a mainstay of the radio show for 4 or 5 years with her questions and her process. And she started an online support group on Zoom. And I'm not sure just how long Susan's been doing that, but it's been quite a while. She has a really nice group that comes together every week. That's one way to do it in terms of making it accessible. And of course, you can do it from your own home. One of the other, just several things, I'll just kind of go through them as they come to mind. One of the things you triggered was a memory of working with a woman in South Florida. This goes back before Heartland was almost, this is almost 40 years ago. And I was doing a series. We had an opening evening, and then there was I forget how long it was. We were doing a couple of month process once a week, and there was a fee attached to it. And this woman came to the first workshop. It was a free open, evening introduction, and if you want to join it. And she ended up in tears. Oh, I want to do this, but I don't have any money, and I can't afford it, and I want to do it so much, but I just can't afford it. And so I made a deal with her, and the deal I made was I'll pay you, and I forget how much it was now, but X number of dollars for every worksheet that you do. So the class was, I think, if I remember correctly, it was maybe $30 a week. So I'll pay you $5 a worksheet. So if you just bring 6 worksheets to each class, that'll pay for your class.
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
was so excited. She never
Mm-hmm.
showed up again. Never showed up again.
Uh-huh.
One of the things I recognize is that when people actually engage in, and my offering is there is no true healing if you can't get out of the perceptual mind. If you don't know how to collapse it, there are lots of people that are doing lots of interesting, intellectually stimulating things, and people are happy being intellectually stimulated. But if it's just intellectually stimulated and you're working within the perceptual system of the mind, life improves, but it's kind of like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
You're not
Yeah.
touching the you're not touching the real core of what needs to be touched. And I've lamented, you've maybe heard me say this on the show, and others have too, oftentimes is that it brings up sadness for me that so many people get so excited when they hear about the possibility, but then they won't stay around long enough to build the brain cells.
Yeah.
And for me, what's really clear, there's an interesting story in the scriptures about a guy named John the Baptist, and they describe this guy, and he's amazing. And they say he's the forerunner of the Christ. Like, wow, who doesn't want to meet John the Baptist? But what does it mean to be the forerunner of the Christ? Well, if you're going to ever open to the true mind of being, you're going to have to get free of what's going on in your own unconscious. In the ancient Aramaic, the unconscious is called the desert. And you remember they referred to John the Baptist as the raving maniac in the desert. What
Mm-hmm.
did that mean? Well, those two are tied together. Each one of us is going to have to meet our own raving maniac in the desert, something that takes us into our own unconscious dynamics, which is what opens the possibility. And that's why that is the forerunner of the Christ. But a lot of people just don't want to go there. There is
Oh,
so
I
much
know.
generational pain and drama and
Oh, I
trauma.
know. Yeah,
And
it's the
then,
dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul.
got to go through it. Yeah. So sticking
Yeah,
around, and I've seen it take 10 years for people to come back and say, now, what was that you said? Because
yeah.
everybody wants to solve their problem. I have a problem with, Bill or Harry or Mary or Hortense, and I want to solve that problem. Well, solving problems is nice, but that's secondary. What really needs to happen is healing, because if you just solve a problem and you don't do the healing work, then you get to live the title of my book. Why is this happening to me again? You're going to create it
I
again
I
until
know.
one's willing to go into their own unconscious. And, it's kind of rare for people to want to do that. And then you listen to another part of the conversation about John the Baptist, and you remember they said that this guy, John, the one who can show you what's in your unconscious, the stuff you don't want to look at, he's the very highest among men. But when it comes to the true dimension, which, in that particular language was the king of heaven, when it comes to that, he's the lowest. So there are lots of things happening in the intellectual realm that are very interesting, beautiful rearranging, repainting the deck chairs in the Titanic, and it's all fun, but it doesn't move a meter in the true realm.
Right, and
One
the
has
the
to
co-
be willing to get out of their minds. And
right.
if our whole identity, which is where we've all been trained to build our identity, is what shows up in our minds, and then somebody says, you got to be out of your mind, well, that means I'm destroying myself. Well, yeah, it is destroying the self that isn't, but it's the pathway to awakening the self that is. So
A
that
course
kind
in
of,
A Course in Miracles describes that as um just making your a happy dream.
yes,
You know,
exactly. Everybody wants the happy dream. Resolve
everybody
my
wants
problems.
that.
Don't make me look.
And I talked to my daughter once about doing some healing work like this, and she was aghast, and she said, "Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to bring all that stuff up to be healed?"
Yeah.
And I told her why, but she she backed away, and it's like, okay, I accept that, this
It's
is
not for everybody.
um so what I also see is that I want to work, and I facilitated a Course in Miracles class for several years, and I facilitated a class with Dave Womack. I don't know if you ever knew him.
Yes, yes.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of your
You
work.
introduced him, and
Yeah.
he actually did, I think it was a Y intensive. After
Yeah,
he
that's
moved
right.
out to California, he came back and did
Oh,
intensive,
good, good.
or maybe it was the online intensive. I'm not sure, but yeah, I remember
Yeah,
Dave.
we facilitated your work. We showed the videos, we did the worksheets, and it was going great. And part of the reason it was going great, I think, is because we were doing something together. I wasn't by myself.
Right.
And I, so I'm kind of thinking, oh, I have these beliefs about things that I need to get rid of. I have, oh, I can't do this by myself belief. I
Mhm.
have all kinds of beliefs that I'm trying to look at as they come up and
Worksheets.
release. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And release those. And I have beliefs about the patriarchy. I have beliefs about death. I have beliefs about aging. Just the whole gamut of everything. And I I want to be able to sit with people. I want to be able to attract to me people who want to do this work. People who want to go beyond rearranging the deck chairs and having a happy dream. And who are serious about those are the people that I want to attract.
I'm with you, and you
Mm.
have my support.
Yeah, so
Is Dave? I haven't talked to Dave in it's been several years, but you know, is he still engaged in doing his work? And
yeah,
maybe together
yeah,
you could set up and do something online again.
yeah.
Zoom, it
I'll
feels
talk to
anywhere in the
him.
world now.
Yeah, he's also retired a couple of years ago, and he's now doing some healing work with some machine he's got. I don't know what it is. I didn't really pay
Mm,
attention because it didn't mean anything to me. It's not something I was familiar with, and I wasn't interested in it,
right,
frankly.
right.
But uh, I would like to maybe join your friend's Zoom group, support group, and um, I
Well,
and I
maybe Susan would hit the button, put her hand up. She's with us, and share how people can do that, so that anybody who wants to join that group could do so. Are you up for pushing the button, Susan? There she goes. She did it. And so you should be on now, Susan. How are you, young lady?
Okay. Thanks. How are you?
How long have you been doing your online support group now? It's got to be, what, at least 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. Yeah. Um, so Carrie, I could put you on my list because I send the link. It's the same link every week, but I always send people the link the day
Mhm.
before. It's Wednesdays from 10:30 to noon Eastern time. So I don't know if that's a good time for you. It's sort of an odd time, but
I'll
um,
send each of you your email addresses. We don't want to put anything on the show that's public,
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah.
send each of you email addresses and phone numbers so you can communicate.
okay, great.
But
Thank
that
you.
might be, you might see the format that Susan's doing. You might support her and you might start something similar, or, maybe Dave would jump in, or maybe there's somebody else that's listening. Because I, I was sharing this, this weekend was our Mind Shifters and Still White Breathing Club month. And I was sharing with the group that I'm really clear for me that if I hadn't, in part, I chose to do this work, and another part, the universe kind of pushed me into it. It
Mm,
wasn't really my choice, but I'm thankful that it did, because I recognize I would not have continued to do this if I hadn't been teaching it. And that's
yeah.
like, if you really want
Mhm.
to learn it, you got to teach it. It's just part of the
Hmm.
process.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, so maybe there's somebody else who might want to push a button and say, "Hey, I'm interested in coordinating and helping that to happen."
It's a small group. My husband and I facilitate it together, and we have 4 or 5 or 6 people. It varies from week to week, but it's always the same little group. So we certainly could. I don't want to get too big because it's on Zoom, and we each person has a good amount of time to do something, a worksheet or discuss an issue, whatever. So yeah,
Okay, and Cami has asked if I'd send you her name too, so I'll send you that as well, Susan.
Tammy and Carrie. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
sure,
cool,
it'd
awesome.
be great.
But it's really clear to me when I watch people, and it always amazes me what people touch into as they get to that point of canceling the goal. And my take is, I mean, there are different systems where people accidentally fall into, their perception collapses and they get an opening.
Hmm.
But there's nothing on the planet that I know of that will consistently, persistently give people that chance. And that's that tool of Yeshua, of This goal is driving your perception. Your perception is pain. Your pain is inside of you, is being projected into your brain's image of someone else, and you think it's outside of you. And the requirement to touch in directly to that, it takes courage, it takes willingness. It's a big deal. And I understand that a lot of people don't want to go there. People come up with, oh, this is too confusing. Well, so now we know that your next piece of work is confusion, if that's what the worksheet's bringing up for you. And, if you move through it, if you go through it, you'll get to the root of whatever is in the bloodline that has inhibited the true expression of being and go on to the next level.
That blame, though, of others is something that people really hold on to.
Oh, yeah.
And
Life itself, for the ego, blame is life itself.
blame is life itself. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Without blame, I mean, some people couldn't speak. Think
Yeah.
about some public figures we're watching right now in the public realm. If it
So
weren't for blame, they'd never say a word.
So, Michael, I think also what I'm seeing in the world now is the level of trauma that people hold within themselves has been just piling up over generations,
It's becoming manifest.
and it's now coming up to be healed. And
Exactly.
if we can see the world in that way, so what I do a thing with heart math. I don't know if many of you have heard of heart math. It's a research group, and they have a nice little app where you can, and I do it on my phone. I just put my finger over my phone camera and it measures my heart and all this stuff. And I do their meditations, and it's being part of their research of the coherence of the earth and raising the vibration and healing trauma in the earth. And they have all these wonderful little meditations that you can do. And I'm doing that because I recognize that I have a role to play in healing the trauma of the world.
Absolutely.
And in meditation, I had this vision twice. And probably they were about a couple of years, 2 or 3 years apart, but it was the same vision where I was raised up and where I saw the world, the whole world, and I was embracing the whole world. And this incredible love was pouring out of me. So I was sitting, tears streaming down my face in my meditation, assisting the world with love and light, because I'm seeing that that's our responsibility now as light workers, is to assist in this trauma release, this trauma healing, because we are really moving into the age of Aquarius, which is this whole new age of community and working together and honoring each other, instead of the past age, which is, I mean, it was a very big learning experience for us, but on this earth with this heavy karma that we have and all of this incredible trauma, those of us who've been doing your work and other work that, other people are doing similar things, this is my purpose. This is what I'm here to do.
I got
And
it.
and I can sit in my meditation and do this by myself. It's fine. And I need to connect with a tribe and make this like healing the matrix, the energy matrix around the earth. And I want to give everybody on this show a feeling that if we do our work, each and every one of us, we do on some level bring healing to this world just by doing our work on ourselves, so that we are having an effect on everyone. Even though I feel despair sometimes that people aren't willing to do this work, they're stuck in their
Let's
trauma.
well, let's
You
let's
know.
let's put a hold in that. Let's jump in there for a second.
Okay.
So my offering would be, remember our definition of denial. When I think or
Hmm.
speak as though something outside of me is the cause
Right.
of what's moving inside of me. So I'd offer that might be your next worksheet.
That might
Is
be,
that
yes.
thing about despair, because when you say, when I think about that, I am in despair. That is
Well,
not, I'd offer, the cause of the despair. And as you forgive it, you'll empower yourself at the next level.
because there is only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
I do see the trauma and all of that as being a part of me in this bigger sense of being the one. So thank you for pointing out my language on that.
and I think that just to share another piece, I'm right in alignment with you on, it's all of our work. And
Hmm.
I don't think you were on the show when I shared this. It was about 2 years ago. I was doing a still point session, and I lay on the bed and I'm breathing away. And all of a sudden, I get the instruction as I'm in the still point to look down. It's like, look down. What do you mean I'm laying on the bed? What am I going to look down? Look down. Okay, so I look down and I see this vast field of darkness that is more expansive than I could imagine in every direction. And in it, there are an uncountable number of just little tiny lights. And I asked, what am I looking at? What is this? And what I was told was, these are your generations and the darkness that they're living in. And they're asking for your help to process it. Will you take on some of that energy and help to process it? And I'm saying that because I think that while we sometimes tend to, I'm going to help the world. One of the places I think each of us needs to go is to our own ancestral patterns and to embrace those. And so for me, that experience was so visceral,
Mm.
and the visual was so powerful. It was like so huge. The number of people and the vast darkness. It's like, am I willing to actually embrace the darkness that is holding my ancestors and help them to process through it? The other message that I got out of it is the blessing of being in what we call a body, being at this stage, because we can do that. And what I got out of it was the ancestors who were locked in that darkness, there was nothing they were able to do about it. So they were asking for help. So
Hmm. Hmm.
going inside to look at that as well, and into the right down into the genes, and helping to clean it out.
I think that generational healing is so powerful and so
Huge.
important. And I just um I just I'm feeling in my body at the moment as you say that, this feeling of hope and joy, um that as an individual I can have an impact on that.
Absolutely.
And going back to my daughter, why would I want to do that? You know, I have seen as I've done my work and done worksheets on some stuff that she and I had been going through, that she has transformed in many ways,
Yeah,
even though she hasn't done the work, because I have done the work
exactly.
with us
Great
together.
principle. Yeah, great principle is expressed in the Course of Miracles. When you're healed, you are never healed alone.
Yeah,
Every issue that every one of us deals with, we open. At least, I don't think we can force somebody else to go through it, but we open the energy window that makes it easier, not only for people in our own bloodline, but I think anyone who's in a similar resonance, a similar pattern, a similar issue. Each person who opens that window a little wider opens it for everybody.
that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's powerful. And it was interesting, the experience I just shared in that still point breathing process. Normally, when I do a still point session, my phone is off. And this particular, in that session, I didn't turn my phone off. And literally, when I was asked, it was explained to me what this darkness was, and these lights were my ancestors stuck in that darkness, and they were asking for my assistance in processing it. Would I take it on? And I spoke the words out loud, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And at that very instant, my phone rang.
Oh.
And I picked up my phone, and it was my son. And my son is in his 40s. We have never talked about ancestry, family, ancestors. It's never been in the conversation. The first words out of Michael J's mouth that day were, "Hey, Dad, I'm on Ancestry.com and need some information about our ancestors." It's like, okay, I got the confirmation.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just literally the second I said the words, "Yes, I will do that," the phone
Uh-huh.
rang, and there it was they were the first words out of his mouth.
Right, right. Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
yeah, we can do this and impact literally everyone.
So, as you know, I've done a lot of Sandra Ray's breath work, and
Right.
um, and the still point breath. Are you going to do the thing that I most need help with? There is some of the hand positions, and um, I'm wondering if you could do a tutorial for people who've done still point breathing, just reminding us, showing us the hand positions.
Actually, I did a quantum still point training here with another physician, so he could do quantum still point on me, and we videoed the energy field work. I did it with him and a couple of other people, and we videoed it. We haven't reviewed it yet to see how well it came out, but we're moving in that direction, yes. And if it isn't good enough for us to put out, the end of May we're doing a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, and we'll be doing in that workshop. We always do the hands-on energy field work, so we'll be videoing it again if we need to.
Okay.
So yes, that is coming.
Okay.
We're working on it. One more project.
Yes. One more
We've
project.
also let me throw this out just to see if anybody else is interested in our Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club Still Point session this weekend. One of the participants asked if there's any possibility we could do the intuitive development intensive as part of the 9-day we're doing at the end of May. So I'm going to put that request into the facility. I have no idea whether they're available. This just happened yesterday, but I will be contacting them. But if anybody is interested in doing the 9-day intuitive development, and the whole thing is focused on a practicum on being able to listen without recourse to the senses or the mind.
I would be very interested in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put you on the list. I'll be communicating with the facility if he's available today to find out whether or not they'd even have the space for us to do it. But if so,
Uh-huh.
and we have enough interest, then we may add that to the 9-day why.
So I have the way I get my intuitive hits is I have this sense of knowing. I just know something.
Yes.
And um, I want to be able to get out of my way so that I can see that more clearly.
Well, that's exactly what the intuitive development is about. You're actually working with the same partner through the whole 9 days, and you're sitting with that partner, and I mean we just go through a whole series of exercises and sensing information about that partner, and then having instant feedback so you know when it's right and you know when you're off. So by the end of that 9 days, intuition is open pretty wide for most everybody, and I define intuition as access to information without recourse to the senses or reason.
Yeah,
So, and we're
yeah.
designed, that's where we're designed to get our primary information. But the world has so locked us into, external through the senses. Most people don't sit with their children. We've done this fortunately with Ari. When we talk about it's time for meditation, Ari will sit us down, give us instructions, put our hands in the right
Yeah.
position, and then she guides the meditation. But
Oh,
but
yeah.
what do most people do with their kids? Oh, look at the toy. Look at this. Look at this. Oh,
Yeah.
we got a
Yeah.
TV. We got the look out here, out here, out here, out here.
Right, right.
And there's no guidance to spending time inside. And it's so
Yeah.
important.
I remember I was at some sort of workshop seminar a couple years ago, and I looked at this woman. She's just a normal woman, and I just thought, oh my God, that woman is suffering terrible grief. And uh, then I kind of let it go. And then we were doing a process together, and she was talking about this terrible event and all her terrible grief. And I thought, oh God, I saw it, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I would love to do that. I'm very interested. That's when, the end of May.
Well, we're doing
Possibly.
the 9-day Y starts on the 21st or the 23rd of May, Jeannie. Do you remember? And goes through the last day of May. If the facility's got the space and we have enough people to do it, then it would start the 1st of June.
Okay.
It'd be 9 days, right in that time frame.
Okay. Okay.
So cool.
Sounds good. Okay. Thank you so much, Michael.
Hey, honored, delighted. Any other thoughts on this topic from anybody? Miss Susan, anything else to share about what it's done for you to be doing the?
Can you hear me all right?
You're loud and clear.
Okay, good. Well, it's just changed my life. I had crippling anxiety, and although I get anxious about things, it's the normal kind of anxious that's helped by a wake-up sheet. Before, I had no tools, and I thought I was just stuck with anxiety and depression. And there's a lot of it in my family, and just speaking of how one thing helps another person, I think my work has helped my son, who takes after his dad, my husband. My husband's a lot better from his anxiety too. He's using a different set of tools. He didn't resonate so much with Michael's tools as with DNRS, which is dynamic neural
Restructuring.
Or restructuring or reconstituting or something. He's been diligent about that, but he's watched me do my work, and he has done many wake-up sheets. Sometimes he'll be in a tizzy about something, and I'll say, all right, we're doing a wake-up sheet, and I'll be your facilitator. And it always helps. So it's been life-saving. And I have 5 grandsons, and 2 of them have mental health problems. Very different way of expressing them. And I'm hoping my work helps them. It helps me because I don't go totally down the tubes when they're going through a hard patch.
Right.
Which is just great. So yeah, the tools are a way of life up here. I use mind shifters a lot, Michael. I seem to have switched from worksheets to mind shifters because mind shifter is a short route. It's safe and healing for me to be perfectly relaxed, even though something or other is happening. Then I make my arguments, and I realize the mind shifter already just lets you know what the goal is, and it's always a goal. So it's been great. Anyway, that's kind of a long answer.
Awesome. Yeah, right on. And Kerry, by the way, I don't know if you've been looking in the comments, but Joe had asked if it was you, wondering if it was you, maybe. And Joe, has really been rocking on doing his work, so maybe you and Joe might do something together in terms of a Zoom thing or whatever. I know you guys have communicated, so touch in with Joe and see how that fits. Yeah, the more people who will pick up the tools and use them and share them with the others, the better it is. And when Yeshua talks about, the gate is narrow and few will be that find it. The reason it's so narrow is because who wants to look at that crap in their own minds? There's a movie that I recommend that everybody watch, and it's called "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood." And the thing to me, aside from the fact that Mr. Rogers talks about the fact that on a daily basis he used tools. They don't get into what it was specifically, but that he uses tools, and that's how he was able to carry off his life with some traumas that he had. But there's a scene in it where the guy who wrote the script for this movie was a writer for Esquire magazine, and he was actually assigned to do a 500-word article on Mr. Rogers, which he did not want to do. And his editor says to him, "You're going to do this." And that's the way it is.
Mm.
And Mr. Rogers was the only person I could get to interview you because you're so damn nasty, basically, is what she says to him. And Mr. Rogers, he goes and he's in an appointment with Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers starts to walk him into his own unconscious, which is what this work is all about. If you don't go into your own unconscious, as you said, Carrie, why would I do this, says your daughter? Because if you don't do it, the energetic patterns that you are carrying are going to ultimately kill you. It's like that's what death is made of. It's time for us to change that. But Mr. Rogers starts to walk this guy into some of his own unconscious dynamics. Now, here's a guy, true story, here's a guy who's a professional writer from Esquire magazine, and he's interviewing Mr. Rogers, probably at that point one of the most famous TV personalities going. And the writer, the guy that's interviewing Rogers, gets up and leaves the interview. He walks out. He's supposed to be interviewing Rogers. But the basic message that he gives, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why people find all kinds of reasons why there's something wrong with this worksheet or I don't want to do it. The basic message that this professional writer for Esquire magazine gives to Mr. Rogers is, don't make me look. Don't make me look at my unconscious. Don't make me look into what's really going on inside of me. Let me keep believing the lies of my mind that it's all about everybody else. And then Mr. Rogers keeps moving, and literally this guy's whole life is transformed. And he not only ended up writing that 500-word article, but he ended up, because of the impact not only on him, but on his whole family and the healing of his whole family, he wrote a 16,000-word feature article that was published in Esquire magazine about his experience as a human being interacting with Mr. Rogers, about his healing process. But the basic message, don't make me look, is where most people live. Oh no, I just want to be in my story about how it's about somebody else and if only they'd change. No. If only you'd change, if only you'd face, if only you weren't carrying whatever it is you're carrying, you would be living 24/7, 365 in a state of absolute perfect health and bliss. That's what we're designed to live in. That's our design. But if you haven't noticed, many of our generations have not exactly gone that route. So it's up to each individual who chooses to do their work to clean it up. And that's not an easy assignment. I'm really clear on that. That's not an easy assignment. And to me, one of the things that I've dedicated my life to is to make the tools as understandable and functional so that people can move through it as quickly and easily as possible. Most people aren't going to spend half a century. Most people don't have the brain cells to start putting together, how this, why this, how to do this, how it works. But if anyone will pick up that simple tool, and it's simple, your mind might go, oh, it's if anybody picks up that simple tool and uses it on a consistent, persistent basis over a period of time, they will undo all hostility, fear, sadness, grief, rage, hatred, vengeance, every disease in the human system. And that's its objective. And I'm real clear from day one, it's not Dr. Feelgood. I'm very clear about that. It isn't. I've been there. I've done that. I've gone into layers and places in my own process, in my own mind that nobody would want to go. But if you're going to heal, this is what it takes. And of course, when you play with others, you get to do your own work, right, Susan?
Right.
That's what it does.
So,
pretty awesome. Feeling blessed by it all. And we're down to about 4 minutes. Any other thoughts for you, Susan? Any input for anybody that wants to do the work, that wants to assist others?
No, I have a whole other issue, but it's not.
Let's go for it.
No,
If
it's
we can cover it in 4 minutes or get
okay.
started, at
Well,
least we can carry on tomorrow.
okay. Well, quickly. I went on AI because I've been reading about how AI is going to be in the forefront of being able to diagnose medical issues. And I've
Right.
had this leg pain, knee pain, groin pain. It all seems connected. We've done wake up sheets on it. Of course, you can always, and invited my muscles to talk to me and so forth. I went through my whole screening, listed all the symptoms, and guess what they said? You should contact a doctor.
So it's now a sales organization for pharmaceutical industry. Oh
Right.
well, what can
I
you
just
say?
thought that was funny. So I'm working on it with a chiropractor and with my nutrition and with rehab. So far, nothing's helping, and it's I usually heal pretty fast, and I teach fitness, and so some I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, I thought that was very funny that the AI people listed a lot of possibilities and then said maybe you better call a doctor. So
Cute. So my question would be,
mm-hmm,
you know, if there's muscle tightness, if there's pain, what's locked in that tissue?
mm,
What are you resisting looking at?
mm-hmm,
If it's in your legs, asking yourself questions about what are some of the things I can't stand? What are some of the things I don't want to move toward
mm,
or don't want to deal with? And look at the time frame when it started. I know that you'd said part of it was to do with scar tissue from a surgery, but it sounds like it's beyond that. Look at the
yeah,
time frame that it started and what was going on in your world. Was
yeah.
there anything in particular that you were resisting in your world at that point?
I'm looking at whatever I can look at. I'm hoping I just don't know what to say. I'm trying to be open. Yep.
Rhetorical. What the one thought that comes, and again, I don't know exactly the time frame, but how does the time frame where the pain in the leg started happening, does it relate in any way, shape, or form to the time frame when your grandson separated and became quite abusive and stopped
No,
communicating?
that's been
Okay.
ongoing, but the newest issue is just that Jonathan and family are moving away,
Right.
and I'm I'm looking at that, and it's an adventure, and I am triggered to being afraid in some ways, but I feel as if I'm being as open as I know how. So I guess I'll just have to keep open and hope things
Asking.
present themselves.
Well, we'll hold the space that your willingness kicks in a level that you're able to receive the guidance and do whatever the guidance offers you to open the space to embrace whatever's going on in that tissue and let the tension in it go and forgive it.
Mm, that would be good.
We'll be holding the
Thanks.
space. All right, dear
Thanks.
heart. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. All
Hey,
right.
thanks everybody for joining us. Cherish you all. Blessings. Bye bye.